depending on the situation. The cross, all God's vegetation, it gives us strength to go through what we're facing. It's our guiding light through the darkest places. It teaches us to see His peace. No matter what's going on, we have to believe and keep the faith. Trouble comes all during night and day, but joy comes in the morning. So don't you worry, God is love. It's so good to know He's our joy, life, healer, provider, protector, way maker. He fills us up until we overflow. It's so wonderful to know He's in control. Yeah, He's in control. God comes to the rescue. When things are falling apart, He'll be there to help you because He cares. He wants what's best for you. In every matter of your life, He will see you through. So if you're ever feeling lonely, know He's there for you. If you ever lost the love, He will comfort you. He will pick you up when you are down. Open your eyes, see what's in front of you. The world created all these factions to blind you from the truth. God's hand is holding you. It's so good to know He's our joy, life, healer, provider, protector, way maker. He fills us up until we overflow. It's so wonderful to know He's in control. Yeah, it's love. Seek His face, turning from the world ways.
Yes, indeed. Chosen elect family, Yah is indeed love. And as the song say, love can be kind depending on the situation. And it depends on the situation, what type of love is expressed. Sometimes love can be toughly expressed. And that's what we're here to do today on another journey to truth and life, is to share some tough love by tackling some emotional hot button issues. And we're going to revisit a live stream, a response video that was done earlier this week. And unfortunately, that video did gain a lot of traction. However, I decided to take it down because it's contradictory to what I'm about and what this platform purpose is designed for, which is to uplift and build the people of the kingdom of Christ. I could exert my energy tearing others down, but I found that it is necessary for us to cut out all the distractions and the wasted efforts and energies and refocus on what's most important. And the scriptures tells us that what is priority is seeking first the kingdom and the Heavenly Father's, the Most High standard of righteousness. And then everything else will be added to us. So I welcome you on. I go by the name of MTAC, Mr. More Than a Conqueror. My real name is Casey Owens. I go by Case for short. And we're here today to address a hot button issue once again. I believe there was a lot of people in the comment section of the response video I done regarding Mr. Griffith, aka Night Tiger Jedi, on YouTube. And today's your opportunity to jump into the live stream. Come on, introduce yourself and to express yourself uninterrupted, because I do believe in respect of persons, meaning that I don't have to agree with you, but I do give the respect for people to be able to express themselves as long as it do not harm others. So we're not looking to harm, we're not looking to spread hate, but we're looking to share love. And of course, my number one hater is in the building. Chief Hitler, surprised to see you here. Uh, I definitely want you to come on, because today we're going to expose the maniacal thought process of people like yourself. We're going to express what the book of Daniel, chapter 8, verses 23 through 25 calls dark science or dark sentencings. The spirit of the Antichrist, this dark psychology, this manipulative mindset that you all who are associated with masonic organizations, trilateral commission organizations, pyramid New World Order societies, ensconced in the fabrics of the American blanket. You've infiltrated, as JFK said on his final speech, the social fabrics of the United Snakes of America. And we're here to expose it, your thought process, those tactics that you use, and we're going to go to some viable sources. So I'm glad that you're on. I'm hoping that you speak up and speak out, because any time those satanic, dark, psychological, manipulative tactics are utilized, we're going to analyze it. And we're going to expose it. This is going to be an educational video as well as a video where people can feel safe to express themselves. So, Mr. Griffith, Jedi, if you're in the building, you can also give your position, your side of the story, and et cetera, because I had no idea that this guy, Mr. Griffith, had any sort of animosity toward me at all. It took me by surprise. Contrary to popular beliefs, I really don't follow people's channel like that. I really don't. If I am on YouTube, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a word of truth coming from the Most High, even if it's for a moment that a person is being used to give direction. As a matter of fact, we'll go to the scripture. As you guys entered the building, please announce yourselves. I will post a link. You will be able to come aboard, and I will mute my mic, and I will mute everyone else mic on the platform, and you will have 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time you need to express yourself. And after you have fully expressed yourself, your mic will be muted, and I will respond, or the person that you are directing your expression towards, they will have the opportunity to respond uninterrupted. We do everything civilized. The scriptures tells us whatever we do, we got to do it decently and orderly. And the last live stream, unfortunately, did not display those civil characteristics, which is kingdom culture of the Messiah, of the real Christ. So we want to do that. I'll go to the scripture. I believe it's in the book of 2 Timothy or 1 Timothy, where it tells us, what the purpose of the scriptures are for. And that is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. And I'm not sure if you guys can see this because of my many notes mean nothing to you, but that's years of studying and note taking. It reads in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, it says, "And all scriptures are given by inspiration of the Most High Yah, and is profitable for doctrine, reproof, correction, and for instruction in righteousness." So whenever I am on YouTube or I am reading, you know what I mean? I'm reading, what I'm looking for is instructions in the way of righteousness. I'm looking for profitable doctrine. I'm looking for inspiration, as it says. I'm looking for reproof and correction in ways that I may have erred. And that's what I'm looking for. So I don't stay on people's channels, following them, trending behind them, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what I do. I have more things to do with my life. I'm a father. I'm a working man, and I am a prime target of the United States government. I am enemy of the state number one. And some of the things that I've gone through consist of community harassment. I've gone through, and I see Chief Hatler. Just hold your horses. I'm going to put the link in the box. If you're a real person and you're not manipulating, you will have the respectful time to come on. I would love for someone like you to come on so I can show the people exactly what you're about. So I won't get into the back and forth debates. If once I post a link, you will be able to come on and express yourself and your thoughts and opinions. I will not express to you what I think. I'm going to express to you the factual truths, and that's all I have. I will beat the deception, the darkness that is in you down with nothing but truth. You can express opinions, you can blurt insults, etc. All those dark psychological manipulation tactics that we're going to expose to the world. We're going to expose those Masonic, demonic creatures that have nothing better to do with your life because you have no soul. We're going to express it, but I'm still going to give you the respectful time because one of the things is education, right? So we're going to be inspired by using you as a lesson tool. And if you can be helped, this is the perfect place to come because I come out of love and I come with nothing but truths and facts. So, like I said, psychological warfare operations, deception, along with electromagnetic anti-personal assaults are being ran in America by FBI, Department of Homeland Security, CIA, NSA, Department of Defense, Department of Justice. And it goes on to say the FBI and other organizations associated and subcontracted by them is spreading lies, slander, libel, defamation about outstanding community members. Now, this applied to me around 2013. I started working for a company, specific, factual, concrete evidence. The name of the company was called Schneider Intermodal. They were located in Chicago, Illinois, at 3600 Cosner Avenue. That's Kosner Avenue. You can look them up, etc. There's a video with Lance Underwood, who was brought in maybe a year after I started. Black guy who was then transported out after the federal infiltration to the Dallas area. He's now working for another company. He's on LinkedIn. His photo is on my video. If YouTube have not removed it, and you guys can forward him this information, I believe he has a doctorate degree. Tell him to come on here and say if anything that I'm saying is not true. So while I was working there, the feds infiltrated that job. This is when the program went overt, when I began to recognize that the federal government was on my trail. My phones were uh, hacked and tapped, my laptops, tablets, my home was broken into, my food was poisoned, I was drugged. Lies were spreaded around, especially concerning my Hebraic name, which I was born with. I was born in the 1980s, and my mother, at the time of my birth, you have to apply for citizenship and birth certificate records, all that information I have for court documentation, because if we have real evidence, then we should be pursuing legal action for criminal and civil restitution and recovery. All right. Because there can be no reconciliation and healing without those elements. So while I was there, they started spreading around lies. They started questioning the legitimacy of my citizenship. All this was part of the schemes, right? And initially, I thought it would fade away. People following me around, etc. Phone calls being manipulated and coached. They would have people that I know. And if you guys want me to actually physically name some of those names, you can go look them up on Facebook, Instagram, etc. Even until recently, they would call me and they would be coached. Most of the time, they would call and they would try to mispronunciate my name. And that would be a what you would call a stimuli for sensitizing someone to psychological MK Ultra mind control, right? It's all part of this dark psychology that they utilize, just like such as mind control, brainwashing, covert emotional manipulation techniques, MLP, secret and science of persuasion to influence anyone, things such as that. They were utilizing these tactics. I recognized the tactics. I could not define them. That's what helped me dive into the research. Shout out to my guy, Freddie from Brazil, organized mobbing in Brazil. He actually suggested that I purchase this book. However, it continues till this day. Beatings, tortures, druggings. I've been beat, tortured, lied on. My family's been brought into it. I'm talking about blood relatives, etc., friends, churches. I could name some of the churches that have been involved. If you guys want me to mention the names, pull them up on Google. I can do that as well. Everything that I say is factual, concrete. It's no guy in a some random person in a red shirt or some lady driving by. I can actually tell you who these people are, including one of my neighbors who's in on it, who's in a lesbian relationship, who lives right next door to me, who use those subtle tactics. I don't respond or react to them, and people on the job, etc. So it says we must be wise as those serpents, but still harmless as the dove. So I come to you in humility and harmlessness, like a dove, like the Holy Spirit, but don't fool yourself. I'm not an idiot by any stretch of the means. So I'm hoping that you respect my mind and you don't take my kindness for weakness and my humility for stupidity. I will post a link in the live stream, and you guys will have the opportunity to address. I see Uniquely Made Warrior is in the building. Tragic Magic is in the building. And of course, um, the guy, Chief Handler, is in the building. How many of you guys want to see the coward known as Chief Handler come on and actually physically address MTAC, the federal agent that scours people online? This would be the opportunity. I'm going to um, share the link. So, yeah, we want to see. You don't even have to show your face. Just come on. We're going to have a one-on-one conversation because I'm going to expose the devil. These shadow beings, they're nothing to be afraid of. You know what shadow beings do? They they trick you into believing they have life and power. But just like a shadow, guess what? All they're doing is manipulating themselves into positions of your life uh, where they can be hidden from the light. Because once shadows are exposed to the light, they're vanquished, they're destroyed. And people like Chief Handler loves to stay in the dark. I can guarantee you it 99% chance he will not come on this channel. I can share the live stream and I want him to come on, but I want you guys to see he have the opportunity. I'll give him 10 minutes uninterrupted. I'm not lying. I will mute the mic and I want him to speak. And then I will respond after his 10-minute section is up. So you guys are about to witness how these shadow beings operate. They operate in darkness, secrecy. When they have the opportunity to be exposed in the light, they will shrink away from it. Have you noticed the higher the sun gets, the smaller the shadows seem to be? They shrink in light. And you can take this and, apply it in all fashions, spiritually, socially, emotionally, mentally, etc. So here's the link. I'm going to be inviting you guys into the live chat. Remember, this is your opportunity. I'm not here to censor you. You won't get censored like mainstream Mockingbird fake news. You will have the opportunity to express yourself. And so the link is in the live stream. Chief Handler is in the building. This is his opportunity to come out of the shadows. If he don't, I'm just going to block him from this chat because you have the opportunity right here, right now, to come on and speak to MTAC. Case Owens is my real name. Come out of the shadows and talk to me. We're going to find out who you are, what you're about, and we're going to expose any sort of dark, psychological, manipulative, satanic tactics that you're using. I'm going to allow you to speak. Everyone's going to hear you, and then I'm going to pick you apart. So come on. Toby Reed is on. I'm not sure who this is. Hopefully, this is Chief Handler. Let's see what he has to say. So,
Hello?
some person, is this Chief Handler?
No, it is not. I am not Chief Handler.
Okay. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Toby Reed, and I used to believe in the Gangstalking program until I met somebody named Patricia Jerome, Fluffy the Narc Slayer, and I met somebody else named Jubilina Redeemed, Carolina Lowe. So Patricia Jerome, Fluffy the Narc Slayer, started this big rumor last year that I'm a government agent, which is not at all the love of Christ, not at all the love of anybody. And now has been saying I'm Chief Handler, all because I changed my name to, I'm like, Chief Handler messes with Brandon, Q, and Lena as a joke. Because I was trying to go after Chief Handler because he sounded way too similar to my next door gang stopping rapist neighbor. And so I have lost all like faith in believing in a gang stalking program because of
Uh,
these people online. I don't know
okay,
what's going on, but hold
so
on.
yeah, go ahead. I do apologize.
I don't know what's going on, but ever since I met that girl, lady Patricia, um, like she started so much crap with me for no reason that like I wish I never met her. And she came into my life and started saying that I'm a government agent witch and all this shit. And so like now I don't know what to believe. I used to believe in gang stalking and all this stuff. And now she's saying that I'm chief handler when I literally do not have all these accounts that he's made. Like I've lost faith in this. I don't know what to think. And I guess that's just my opinion to clear my name to let you guys know that I am a woman. I'm from Oregon. I am not chief handler. And I was trying to go after him to see who he really was. So there's that.
All right. So, are you ready for me to respond?
Sure.
All right. So here's my response to someone in your position. Uh, First of all, want to say that this live stream is not about someone named Trisha because I don't know her very well. I stated earlier that I don't know many of the YouTube content creators very well. Uh, Dan explained exactly what uh, my situation was as enemy of the state. I was infiltrated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other um, Fed parties such as the CIA. Um, for what reasons, I do not know. Um, want to also address when you said that someone named Trisha Jerome slandered your name or your character. Anytime that there's slander of character or libel, it calls your reputation to be damaged. Your ability to gain income or maintain income is damaged. Those are compensatory and punitive damages. If it calls you emotional harm, this is called pain and suffering. Uh, and there are civil laws and criminal laws that protect someone in that situation. So if you're a victim, a real victim, what I urge you to do is to file a police report, retain an attorney, and then seek justice, right? Confront whatever the ailment may be. Coming on YouTube and going back and forth, that's not going to help the situation. If there's a crime um, that is committed, you're violated in any aspects of your protected rights, then get legal. You see what I'm saying? So that's my response in regards to that. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to get into a debate between you and her. I'm pretty sure if you guys can't sit down and have a cordial one-on-one, woman-to-woman conversation, the mediaries of the judicial due process will be willing to get involved if you take the appropriate actions. So that's my advice, not only to you, but to everyone, because that's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm taking legal actions. These people are going to pay for the crimes that they have committed. And the disguise of national security will not, um, protect them. So I'm not here to convince anyone to believe or to not to believe. These are actual factual truths that the counterintelligence program, do your research, actually existed. And as an so-called Afro-American black man, it never stopped being perpetuated toward my people. Any one of us who was identified, the manifesto of the FBI's war, secret guerrilla style war against black people, aka the real Israelites, was to kill and murder messianic figure. These are files that were pulled when what was his name? You guys, if you know, the guy who went into the FBI building and stole those official secret documents and file. Can't think of it right now, but go do your research. A nation, and they never stopped. The court case took place in 1970, started in 1976. It took 2 years to conclude in 1978, where those actions of the FBI was deemed unconstitutional, racist, etc. Since no one went to jail for those crimes, it continued in the FBI's Black Ops Division, I believe, Sector 5 of the FBI, which carries out all their black operations. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're still there, I will unmute your mic and you can express yourself. Is Chief Handler in the building? Would he like to click on? Chief Handler, if you're in the building. Okay. All right.
I don't think he will join. I mean, personally, I had a theory about who I thought he was, but I do believe this individual is very dangerous. I will say that. But I agree with what you're saying about the Israelites. I agree with that. I am knowledgeable about the 12 tribes, about like I believe like the blacks, natives, and Hispanics are the true children of Israel. And I believed in the Gangstalking program stuff. But I just, after what I witnessed with the behavior with, Fluffy the Narc Slayer against me, I think, I will probably have to go do what you said, because she's called me a cult leader. She's called me a gang stalking perp. She's accused me of being chief handler.
You don't even have to go into detail. Just go down to the court, and if you need any assistance with that, there are organizations that will help you learn how to file legally pro se, or how to retain a lawyer and receive grants to do so. So it sounds like a legal matter. And if are you seriously damaged by this in any capacity?
Well, when she started doing it, I was homeless, and it literally like destroyed me. And I had anxiety attacks, and I was living in my car. So the only job that I had at the time was driving for Uber Eats. And like, I, wasn't as motivated to work. But I just, want to say that like, I just don't trust our legal system enough to actually help us, I guess, is the problem.
And that's what this platform is designed to do. I don't want to put a date or time because I'm so congested with tasks, but pretty soon, what I'm going to be doing is I'll be doing sections, educating our people, or people who are victims or possible victims, on the legal structure that is in place, and we know it's corrupt. I mean, that goes without question. But how to go about filing criminal charges or claims, how to go about pro se civilly. And we want to be proactive and solutionary. We don't want to spend the rest of our lives complaining. And I'm not downplaying what you're saying. I don't know you from a can of paint. And anyone who tells me they're a victim, then I'm going to sympathize, even if I can't empathize with them. I'm going to sympathize over the situation. And if you are a victim of someone who's doing this, then my advice to you is, I don't care who it is, file criminal charges. There will be an investigation. There has to be. Once you get a you know claim number or case number or whatever the case may be, they have to investigate the claims, and you have to do your part as an adult to follow through. And hopefully the upcoming videos will help educate people on what to do. I have more literature coming in that's going to be available, that's going to help educate the public, because these are people, the FBI, the CIA, the Masonic organization, they control you and intimidate you by keeping you in ignorancy. They believe that they can control the world if they withhold truth and unrighteousness. This is given in the scriptures. Read the book of the first chapter of Romans, around, as a matter of fact, let's just go to it. So I can't think of it off the top of my head. Believe around verse 15, but we'll go here real quick. All right. So all right. It's actually verse 18, and it says, "For the wrath of the Most High Yah is revealed from heaven against all unrighteousness and all ungodliness of men." Right? They're not ascended masters. They're not alien. I mean, well, I don't know. I'm not going to call them human, because obviously they don't have a mind, will, and emotions of a human being, who have the ability to feel. They're apathetic, they're psychopathic, etc. These are men who, like Chief Handler, who hide in secrecy, leaving comments in people's chats, but whenever invited to the light, they disappear like the slithering serpents they are. It's in their DNA. It says, but they withhold, men who withhold the truth and unrighteousness. That's in secrecy. They take this truth away from you, this knowledge, they withhold it from you, and then you're afraid. You don't know what to do without knowledge. So these upcoming videos are going to be designed to empower you with the knowledge to know how, what to do in a case, how to gather substantial information and evidence. I read in the comment section of the video that was taken down, someone said that, only 2 people had evidence. If you have that evidence, take it to court. You see what I'm saying? Take it to court. What if you have evidence and it's substantial? The court of law. It's to be examined, cross-examined. Witnesses that you have, we're going to file cases. Other than that, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Someone else is trying to come aboard. Tragic Magic. We thank you for your time, by the way, Toby Reed. I'm going to give Tragic Magic his 5 to 10 minutes to speak, and then I will respond. So anyone knows where Jedi is, please send him a message, because this is his opportunity to respond. And anyone who have any sort of grievances or complaints, you're welcome to come on. You will be uninterrupted. Once again, all mics will be muted. You will be given between 5 and 10 minutes to say what's on your mind and conclude your matter. Please be aware that other people are waiting in the queue as well. So welcome on. You have the mic.
Hey, what's up? Just stopped by to say what's up and kind of just tune in. I don't really have much to say, but congratulations on having Chief Handler come on your live. That should, give TIs who question you maybe something to think about. I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, I wish he would have came on the live. I was really into it. I really wanted him to come on. I wanted to hear this.
Well, in response to that, people who understand that you're well aware of the tactics and techniques that they utilize, their manipulation eventually will be exposed if they stick around the light long enough. Their tactics, their subtlety, and serpentous ways will be exposed. They're going to be exposed, right? So what happens is they disappear, or they have to, come a different way at you, right? They can't come straight up. I'm someone I don't need to hide who I am, what I'm about, what I've gone through. I'm straightforward. Why? Because I walk in truth. When someone walks in deception, darkness, evil intent, hidden agendas, etc., then they're going to move like Chief Handler. They're going to, hide behind their screen names, etc.
Very
And this is
cowardly.
So once you understand that, and any sort of psychological manipulative tactics they have learned through their very trivial psychological study of the psychology, which is the study of human behavior and tendencies, they don't want that. They love to go after easy, ignorant victims. And so this channel is designed to empower people with knowledge, because ignorancy is just simply not knowing, right? It's a state of being in darkness because you're not privy to the knowledge that these Masonic demonic creatures withhold from you. They keep it from you. They don't share it in public school, charter school, private school, etc. This is something that you have to join their Masonic organizations to learn their manipulative version of it, or you have to come into communion with the Holy Spirit like I did, and that truth gets poured into you like living waters. So that's kind of where I'm at. Anyone knows where Jedi is? Yeah, anyone knows where Jedi is? If Jedi is out there, this live stream was designed for you. He did take down his video. I did get a text message from him, and that text message simply said, I'm on, let me speak. And this was at 3 p.m. So I'm not sure if he was confused on the times, etc. But this is the moment and opportunity. I don't want to negate anyone. And I want that brother, Mr. Griffith, to know that I have no ill will toward him. I was just simply responding to the video of defamation that he had rendered about me. Why he wanted to bring my name into a situation, I don't know. I'm a grown man. I have children. I'm a father. I have a lot to deal with in life, real life situations going on. I just transitioned by the help of my Heavenly Father, the Most High Yah, from homelessness to actually having a place to stay. It's been many days where I didn't have food to eat. I didn't have a place to sit outside of my car, etc. So this is truly a testimony of what the Father can do in spite of, because as I believe it's the book of Psalms 23, correct me if I'm wrong, he prepares a table for his elect in the presence of our enemies. So though they encamp all around me and come to eat of my flesh, he still protects me. He still provides for me. He still empowers me and equips me every day with a sober mind, love, and Holy Spirit power, and so forth. So if anyone else wants to come on, you're more than welcome to do so. The guy, Chief Handler, didn't come on. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to spend my entire live stream going back and forth, but I did want to share something with you guys. Shout out to Freddie, aka Organized Mobbing Brazil. You guys can find him once again. That's ORGANIZED. mobbing Brazil online. He shares some very crucial information, and the brother is absolutely on it. So, in regards to the lady who said that she don't believe in the program, I want to spend the rest of this live stream not sharing my testimony, because my testimony is real. My story is real. My phones are hacked. I originally had a god niece that called me, and she was infiltrated by the FBI, the feds. And when the moment that she mispronunciated my name, I knew what was going on. I have a physical blood brother who a professor, and he's been infiltrated for a long time, and I have protected his livelihood for many years, because I understand if you're and these are people, they would say, of color. These are Israelite black brothers and sisters like myself. I understand if you're a medical doctor or if you're a professor, they're coming after you, especially if you're helping a victim who's been deemed the enemy of the state. So they have to comply with the program. And so I didn't want to mention their physical names on this YouTube channel for the simple fact that being born black in America is a challenge enough, because people don't want to talk about it. But white supremacy and racism is real. It's real. It's hidden, but it's a real factor, and it exists in the very fabrics of the governmental establishments that we have. So whenever I talk about white supremacy or racism, I'm not talking about white people. I love people of all colors. I don't care if you're Oriental, if you're Native American, or any other color. If you're a human being, and it's according to my personal belief, Christ said this: "Who's my brother, my sister, my mother? It is those that do the will of the Heavenly Father, of my Heavenly Father." If you're in the will and you're expressing the will through your actions, through your words, through your desires of the Heavenly Father of righteousness, you're my brother and sister. And I don't see the color of your skin or the texture of your hair or the dialect in which you speak. What I see the love of my Heavenly Father being expressed through a brother or a sister. So that's how I define my brothers and sisters in this world. But I do recognize that there is good, there's righteousness, and on the other hand, there is evil. If there's light, there's also darkness, right? And so forth. So the scriptures tells us in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, around verse 8, I believe, that the very thoughts, 5 through 8, somewhere like that, the very thoughts of man have become corrupted, and it's to do evil and to manipulate perpetually. In the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, it calls them reprobate, corrupt mindset. It says these are humans of corrupt mindset. Psychopaths is what they were trying to express, but there was no terminology that could translate the Hebrew into the English. But they were saying there's people who are psychopaths, sociopaths, and they're hidden in the very fabrics of our society, and their will is to do evil. Nonetheless, they will be exposed. The scripture goes on to say in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, read that for yourself. Some of the things that they do is non-consensual human experimentation. We will be going over this book as well later on. It's called Medical Apartheid by Dr. Harriet Washington. And it's the shocking, sobering, and intense, consequential in its impact. Medical apartheid is a comprehensive history of the abuse of medical experimentations. So if people say there's non-consensual experimentations, it's been going on for a long time on Afro-Americans, aka Israelites, whatever terminology you would like to use except for the N-word or any other derogatory, who have for centuries served as unwilling, unwitting subjects. That's non-consensual human experimentations. And once again, if you want this book, it's called Medical Apartheid. And it goes over, it's a book that goes all the way back to our inception here on American soil to modern time. The non-consensual secret experimentations that have occurred at the hand of the government on Black people. Nonetheless, for victims, especially female victims, I'm going to share with you the testimony of Kathy O'Brien. Not sure how many of you all have seen this, but I believe that this is going to be educational for many. So here we go. Let me know if the audio is good.
I want to thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out here tonight to arm yourselves with knowledge about a tool that's being covertly used to usher in what Adolf Hitler and George Bush termed New World Order, and that's mind control. I've enjoyed talking with quite a few of you earlier this evening pertaining to how mind control has affected some of you or some of your loved ones. Mind control is very prevalent in this country and around the world. These criminals that are in control of our country operate on the philosophy that secret knowledge equals power. Many government secrets and personal reputations were staked on the belief that I could not be deprogrammed to remember those things that I was supposed to forget. They were wrong. For as intelligent as these perpetrators are, they're limited in their thinking by their own immorality. They don't have wisdom. They don't think deep. And they never considered the strength of the human spirit. They never considered what would happen when a good man like Mark Phillips gained knowledge of their secrets and used them to restore a mind rather than control one. I know that I'm extremely fortunate to have survived my CIA, MKUltra, White House, Pentagon level trauma-based mind control victimization. Now that I'm in control of my own mind and ultimately my free will, I'm telling everything that I witnessed and saw and heard and photographically recorded behind the scenes of this New World Order effort. By telling their secrets, their power is eroding. I also speak out to give voice to the many mind control victims and survivors out there who can't think to speak out and tell what they know and what they've endured. I speak out for the sake of my daughter, Kelly, who's now 16 years old and is a political prisoner in the custody of the state of Tennessee, where she's being denied any rehabilitation due to the political affluence of her abusers. She's counting on Mark and I to get this word out on her behalf. For Kelly's sake and for your sake, Mark and I have gone to great lengths to document the facts and the truths that are listed in our book, Transformation of America. Transformation of America is self-published, uncensored, so that you can have the facts that you have a right to know and a need to know. These truths have been covered up and kept from all of us for a long time under a blanket of so-called national security. This is the same blanket of national security that has prevented us from obtaining justice, despite the extensive evidences and documentation we have. We have over 27,000 documents and evidences. Government insider testimony, medical records, more than enough evidence for any legal procedure in this country, including congressional. But this blanket of national security has stopped us from obtaining justice. It's time for truth to prevail. It's time that these truths were brought to light for the sake of humanity as we know it. I'd like to begin by defining mind control by my experience. I realized that my experience was extreme, that the extensive, total robotic, absolute mind control I endured is more limited than the kind of mind control that's proliferating in society. Mind control has kind of a sliding scale where you've got the total robotic mind control on one side, and you've got mind control that's proliferating, such as in occultism in this country, or Global Education 2000, where children are losing their freedom of thought and their ability to critically analyze. There's so many different aspects of society that are affected by mind control in varying degrees. It's imperative that this information get out. And as I explain my victimization, it certainly can be applied to all different facets of mind control and mind manipulation. And as Mark and I have heard so many times from people who have read the book and heard us speak out, that this is a thread that's tying things together. All of a sudden, this whole new world order is making sense. The erosion of constitutional values, the erosion of morality in this country, all of a sudden, it begins to make sense when we learn about mind control. I was born in 1957 in Muskegon, Michigan, to a multi-generational incest-based family. This means my father was sexually abused as a child, my mother was sexually abused as a child, and they were sexually abusing me. My father sexually abused me as far back as I can remember, and I've often heard him state that he began substituting his penis for my mother's nipple while I was still an infant. I tell you this so that you can understand that my sexuality was confused in infancy. It was put into an area of my brain that's much like survival, like eating and drinking would be. I tell you these facts so that you can be better armed and understand what's happening in society. And name names. Mark and I name names in our book, Transformation of America, not so that I can say, well, I was in the White House with so-and-so. I mean, I missed the whole glamour part, but this is so you know who the problem is and where these problems lie. The sexual abuse that I was enduring was so horrific that I developed dissociative identity disorder. This used to be termed multiple personality disorder, and I'm so glad they've changed it to dissociative identity disorder because it really more aptly describes the compartmentalization that occurs when a person endures trauma that is literally too horrible to comprehend. Even though I couldn't understand that what my father was doing was morally wrong, the pain and the suffocation of his abuse was so extensive that I developed dissociative identity disorder. It certainly was incomprehensible. There was no place for it in my mind to deal with such horror. Therefore, I developed a compartment in my brain, a little area behind amnesic barriers that was actually the neuron pathway shutting down in my brain in order to compartmentalize the memory of abuse so that the rest of my mind could function normally as though nothing had happened. So if I'd see my father at the dinner table, I didn't remember sexual abuse. But as soon as he unzipped his pants, the part of me, that part in my brain that knew how to deal with that horrific abuse, the neuron pathways actually physically opened up so that that part of my mind could deal with my father again and again and again as needed. I certainly had a lot of experiences within that compartment that dealt with my father's abuse. But I didn't have a full range of perceptions. I had a very limited perception, a very limited view. Therefore, I'm so glad it's not termed personality anymore. I developed another compartment in my brain to deal with my mother's abuse. Her abuse was primarily psychological. She suffered from dissociative identity disorder herself, and I don't hold her accountable for her actions the way that I do my father, who is fully aware of what he was doing. My mother, in spite of her inability to control herself, destroyed any remnants of self-esteem that I might have developed. And her abuse was so horrific that I developed another compartment in my brain just to deal with my mother. I developed another compartment to deal with the child pornography that my father was subjecting me to. He was earning his living as a worm digger on a 6th grade education and supplemented the family income with child pornography that was being distributed through the local Michigan mafia pornography ring. At that time, there's a criminal faction of our government that was interested in targeting children such as myself for mind control. Because this compartmentalization of memory was something that they deemed ideal for keeping government secrets. After all, if I couldn't think to remember, how could I tell about it? Additionally, people who suffer from dissociative identity disorder develop a photographic memory behind those amnesic barriers because the brain has a defense mechanism that when trauma occurs, it photographically records events surrounding trauma. And an example of this would be that many of you who are old enough to remember, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, most people know exactly where they were and what they were doing because this was an event that traumatized the nation. And this exemplifies how the mind photographically records events surrounding trauma. So behind these amnesic barriers, I had a photographic memory, which the government deemed ideal for programming. That way I could deliver messages to and from government leaders, or in my case, also drug lords, who were involved in funding the black budget and funding the New World Order controls. They're interested in programming me so that I would deliver the messages verbatim. When I delivered messages, I delivered exactly what I was told, using the voice inflections of my abusers with no conscious comprehension of what I was even saying. It was just a tape recorder just parroting out exactly what I'd been told. Another aspect that the government was interested in is that As a dissociative identity disordered person, I had no concept of time because I was going from compartment to compartment of my brain with no memory of what had happened before. Therefore, I had no ability to even keep track of time, and a concept of it was just absolutely impossible. And it also makes for, if I didn't know what I was doing earlier, I wouldn't know to be tired while I was overdoing something else. Therefore, a person who suffered from dissociative identity disorder had extensive physical endurance, just superhuman strength and ability to keep going and going and going and going. Dissociative identity disorder persons also develop 44 times visual acuity. Very often that's why you see them wide-eyed with the whites around their eyes, because they're actually taking in more of their surroundings than the average person. 44 times more detail than the average person sees. That certainly makes them perfect marksmen for mercenary operations or for intelligence in different areas that the government was interested in developing mind control. I was a chosen one, or a prime candidate for mind control because of the sexual abuse that I had endured. My sexuality had been enhanced. Therefore, I was used as a sex slave and also delivered messages to and from these government leaders. At that time, because the government, this criminal faction of our government, was so interested in dissociative identity disordered persons, they knew that any child that was subjected to child pornography had to have endured trauma so horrible that they had to be suffering from that disorder. Therefore, this criminal faction of our government sanctioned this child pornography ring so that they could identify and target children such as myself for the project. At that time, the politician,
where's your pedophile ring?
Michigan politician, mafia politician, the politician who was protecting this Michigan mafia pornography ring was a guy named Gerald Ford. This is the same Gerald Ford that went on to become the first unelected president of the United States. Gerald Ford, I never perceived his political affluence. I only perceived him as another abuser like my father, because Gerald Ford also sexually abused me as a child and sexually abused me right on through my mind control victimization until Mark rescued my daughter Kelly and I in 1988. Gerald Ford is not a pedophile per se. He's what I refer to as trisexual. He'll try anything. Any age, anybody, anytime, anywhere, just as long as he had control. Because he had a perversion of power, in addition to his interest in mind control. Therefore, it was Gerald Ford who came out to our house and explained to my father how to raise me in the project according to government specifications. My father had been caught sending this child pornography through the U.S. mails, and therefore he was approached and told that if he sold me into that project, that he would gain immunity from prosecution. My father remains free from prosecution to date for so-called reasons of national security. My father thought it was just absolutely wonderful and immediately sold me into the project. He felt like the government condoned child abuse. So did I. I certainly felt like the government did. And my father went on to have 5 more children to raise in the project, so there were 7 of us in all. The rest are still awaiting freedom. Once my father agreed to sell me into the project, I was taken routinely to Mackinac Island, Michigan, which is a political retreat where the Michigan governor's mansion is located. It was a bohemian grove of sorts where politicians met and discussed New World Order controls, where they discussed mind control of the masses, mind control in school systems, how to use occultism as a trauma base. One of my sexual abusers at that time was the Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Trudeau. Pierre Trudeau is a professed Jesuit. Now, the Jesuits are an intelligence arm of the Catholic Vatican. There's a criminal faction within these Jesuits. I'm certainly not saying all Catholics are bad, nor am I saying all CIA is bad or all politicians. There's good and bad in everything. But nevertheless, Pierre Trudeau represented this criminal faction of the Catholic Church, of the Jesuits, who believed in mind control of the masses because they wanted to be the one world church in the New World Order. The money that was being brought in through the church was funding New World Order controls. And he firmly believed in mind control. Another sexual abuser of mine was then Michigan Senator and later U.S. Congressman Guy Vanderjagt. This is the same Guy Vanderjagt that went on to head the Republican National Committee that put George Bush into the office of president. Mackinac Island, Michigan, when I was 13 years old, that I was dedicated to the senator who would become my owner in this mind control project. That's U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd is a Democrat from West Virginia. And again, as you'll notice as I reveal any names, that this doesn't have anything to do with party lines. Democrats and Republicans both are involved because it's not about party lines, it's about who's for the New World Order and who's not. Nevertheless, Senator Byrd had been in office as I've been alive. He's still in office today. He's been head of our Senate Appropriations Committee, which means he held the purse strings of our country. He decided where money would be spent. And I know from having witnessed and experienced and saw so much behind the scenes that Senator Byrd was appropriating money in directions that would allow for New World Order controls. Not only that, but my father, for having sold me into this project, was granted a lucrative military contract for making camshafts for military automobiles and all.
That's how they get their contracts.
Extremely wealthy.
Participating in human trafficking.
Senator Byrd, as my owner, would decide where I should go, when, what operations I would be forced to carry out during the Reagan-Bush administration, what places I should be taken specifically for mind control programming. Senator Byrd directed all of my activities. Also around that time, I'd made my first communion in Muskegon St. Francis de Sales Church. Having made my first communion, I also endured an extra ritual after that was referred to as the right to remain silent. That's R-I-T-E, as in ritual. This involved Congressman Vanderjagt and the head of our church at that time, Father Don. And they subjected me to an occult blood ritual. This was so horrific. It was this reversal of the Catholic Mass. It confused my mind because when a person's operating on a subconscious level because they're so traumatized that consciously there's no place for what they're enduring, the subconscious mind has no ability to discern and to question and to reason the same way that the conscious mind does. And this reversal of the Catholic Mass into occultism just made it all seem to run together in my mind. It was absolutely horrific. This blood ritual was so horrible that my mind readily accepted the mind manipulation that I endured afterwards, a hypnotic language, the neuro-linguistic programming, mind control programming, that actually changed the way that my brain was functioning. So that, you know, that part of my brain that I said would open up to deal with my father's abuse again and again? They changed that so that they decided when, where, and how that particular compartment of my brain would be opened and accessed. And they replaced the triggering mechanism with hypnotic codes, keys, and triggers, hand signals. There's also phone tones that can also open those neuron pathways and give access to the compartmentalized memory as well. They replaced that at that time. And this was with this right to remain silent. I also had a silence in my head after that, because up until that time, I heard, it was just my own voice, but I heard my voice arguing back and forth with all these different perceptions and from the different compartments in order that I could formulate some kind of a decision about things. I remember before the right to remain silent that I had some free thoughts of my own, and I had hoped for a place in the world where people didn't abuse each other. I hoped to have 10 children that I knew would be at least 10 children in this world that weren't abused. I'd hoped for those things, but with the right to remain silent, I lost my capacity, my ability for free will thinking. I lost my ability to even hope anymore. I lost all free will entirely. This right to remain silent silenced this argument that always went on in my head, and instead all I ever heard from that point on was the voices of my abusers directing me, telling me exactly what it was I was supposed to do. I could only robotically follow those instructions and carry them out. By the time I was ready for high school, Senator Byrd ordered that I be sent to Muskegon Catholic Central High School. At that time, there was an enormous emergence of information. The Catholics had long since learned the effects of trauma on the human mind. They'd learned it and kept records of it for so many years, with such things as the Spanish Inquisition and other aspects where people who didn't follow the belief systems were wiped out. The Crusaders had also recorded a great deal of information pertaining to trauma on the human mind. This information was being merged with the Hitler-Himmler research that the CIA had taken and had been advancing on. The combination of the merging of the information was very powerful. And Muskegon Catholic Central was a place where this information was being brought together. It was at Catholic Central that the very basis, the very groundwork for Global Education 2000 was being implemented. This is Goals 2000, outcome-based education. There's many different names for the program that's being implemented in our school systems, is being forced on our children by the federal government. Global Education 2000 was designed to increase our children's learning capacity while decreasing their ability to critically analyze. That way they would just readily accept whatever they were told without any question and just take all the information in. At Catholic Central, I got straight A's. I did really good in school because I was photographically recording everything in class. I endured occult ritual in the school chapel, as did numerous other students in the school. I certainly wasn't the only one. As a matter of fact, that by that time, I really thought the whole world was involved in this kind of abuse. By then, my whole environment was saturated with it. This occultism, this trauma, created the photographic recording of all that I learned in school. Of course, I had no ability to critically analyze it or to creatively use it in any way, but the information was sure in there. It was while I was at Catholic Central that Gerald Ford went into the office of president. I had been conditioned by that time to believe that I had no place to run and no place to hide. This is a phrase that's used to lock in mind control victims of varying levels. There's no place to run, no place to hide. We're watching you. I certainly felt like I had no place to run and no place to hide. Who would I turn to? I couldn't turn to my parents. I couldn't turn to my church. Couldn't turn to my school. Couldn't turn to the local politicians. And now I couldn't even turn to the President of the United States. I truly felt locked in, which is exactly what they wanted, for total control of my mind. Of course, since then, I've learned otherwise, and Mark wisely taught me while I was in the deprogramming process that I did have a place to run, so right at them. And I had no need to hide. Obviously, they do, by the way, they're covering up all their acts with the national security blanket. graduated from high school, Senator Byrd ordered that I be transferred to Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee was heavily involved in mind control at that time through the country music industry, and above all, the proliferation of CIA cocaine operations within the country music industry were already in full swing. The political corruption in Tennessee was just all the way to the top. The country music industry provided a cover for mind control slaves like myself to be taken around the country to the various places as designated, and also to distribute and deliver the large quantities of CIA cocaine that was coming into the country. It's my experience that the CIA's so-called war on drugs is no more than the CIA eliminating their competition as they take over the drug industry worldwide.
Facts.
They took their war on drugs to our street corners and turned our streets into a bloodbath. The country music industry provided the cover for distributing the cocaine, so Senator Byrd wanted me to be within the country music industry. Besides that, he fancied himself an entertainer of sorts, and he fiddled on the Grand Ole Opry from time to time. When I was first sent to Nashville, he was playing on the Opry that night, and he had a musician behind him, a guy named Wayne Cox. Wayne Cox later told me that playing music behind Senator Byrd wasn't the only way that he backed him, but that he backed him politically as well. After the Opry that night, I endured an occult ritual again. Occultism is oftentimes used as a trauma base for mind control. Who can comprehend that kind of a trauma? A blood ritual is absolutely horrible, and it's a perfect trauma base for mind control, for the compartmentalization of memory. I witnessed Wayne Cox murder a railroad bum down at Nashville's Union Station. It was abandoned at that time, and there were bums around, and he shot him right between the eyes and cut off both of his hands, which was Cox's MO for murder. After this blood ritual, this horrible trauma, I was programmed that Wayne Cox would be my first handler in MK Ultra Mind Control. As my handler, Wayne Cox would follow Senator Byrd's directions and instructions, and above all, he would be subjecting me to more trauma sufficient to satisfy the numerous compartments Senator Byrd wanted developed in my brain for mind control programming so that I could carry out various operations during the Reagan-Bush administration. I endured numerous occult rituals after that. Wayne Cox at that time was working directly under the direction of Louisiana Senator J. Bennett Johnston, and he took me to his hometown in Chatham, Louisiana.
10 minutes from here.
J. Bennett Johnston at that time was heavily involved in mind control operations because he was running a band of mercenaries out of Louisiana. At that time, this band of mercenaries were going in and out of South America. There was a lot of arms deals going on. There was, and most importantly, when the airplanes would fly these guys down to South America, they would come back full of cocaine, which was being distributed on our streets. Wayne Cox was triggering these mercenaries into operation by showing them a severed hand from another one of his victims, which re-traumatized them into the occult ritual that they had already endured and accessed a specific compartment of their brain. And he told them that J. Bennett Johnston wanted them to give him a hand and carry out a certain operation. He would then give the instructions and the guys would follow him through. So J. Bennett Johnston was heavily involved. At that time, it was 1978, and it was determined that I had endured sufficient trauma to carry out my first trial run operation. An enormous quantity of cocaine had been flown in on one of these operations, and I was to deliver it into the neighboring state of Arkansas. By that time, Bill Clinton's drug operation was in full swing. He was governor of Arkansas, and I delivered this cocaine to a remote airport in Ouachita Forest, which I've since identified as Mina Airport. I also delivered a little packet of information and a small quantity of cocaine, a personal stash from J. Bennett Johnston, to Bill Clinton. I delivered it to Bill Clinton, and he cut out 2 lines of the coke, and he did inhale. That certainly wasn't the only time I saw Bill Clinton using cocaine. My sexual experience with Bill Clinton was extremely limited, in spite of the fact that I was a sex slave. It was my experience that Bill Clinton is bisexual, leaning far more towards a homosexual end. All I've ever seen him involved in was the homosexual activity, with very limited experience with him myself. Whereas my experience was much more prevalent with Hillary Clinton, because Hillary is also bisexual, leaning more towards a homosexual end, and it was she who accessed my sex programming to fulfill her perversions. Around the same time, J. Bennett Johnston subjected me to some other mind manipulation that involved, instead of an occult theme, an alien theme. Now these guys who are manipulating my mind and programming me for mind control purposes claimed, and these criminals in control of our country as well, claim to be gods, demons, and aliens, in order that I feel totally helpless, in order that I felt like they were beyond my realm to affect. And it certainly worked at that time. J. Bennett Johnston told me that he was an alien. He told me that he had been part of the Philadelphia experiment, and when the ship disappeared, it came back a spaceship. This is in keeping with kind of an air-water mirror theme that NASA uses quite frequently, a reversal, because, again, the subconscious mind doesn't have any reasoning capacity. J. Bennett Johnston then showed me through his office at General Dynamics a then top secret stealth. Here was this triangular stealth that wasn't in any of the school books, wasn't being talked about anywhere, wasn't out in the newspapers or anything else. It was being withheld. It was still a top secret weapon system. But I saw this triangular stealth. It looked like a spaceship to me. I'd never seen anything like that. And everything that J. Bennett Johnston was doing and he was involved in certainly was alien to me. So it was easy for me to accept the idea that what was happening was in fact being perpetrated by aliens. I'm not saying that there's no such thing as aliens. That would be foolish of me to even say anything like that at all. But what I am saying is that it was my experience that these were people claiming to be aliens. If there's a reality out there pertaining to any alien influence, we need to sort out the government misinformation and disinformation and mind manipulation techniques that they're using. I know for a fact that the plan is to make all of us feel totally helpless. That what's happening is beyond our realm to affect because we've been taken over by aliens, that our Independence Day is dawning. So beware of that. Understand that those criminals have been keeping information and technology from us under their blanket of national security. They are 25 years ahead of us at least, technologically. Can you imagine what they've got now? 25 years ahead? What's happened? What's happened that you're aware of in the last 25 years? Microwave ovens, we've got computerization, and they've had access to all of that to continue their own advancements. They're way ahead. So when they say, it's aliens, and they show us some incredible technology, don't fall into the trap of feeling totally helpless, that this is beyond our realm to affect. Superstition begins where knowledge leaves off. And they have been keeping knowledge from us for a long time. People have all kinds of belief systems, and I'm sure each and every one of you has various and different belief systems as well. Regardless of what your belief system is, it is imperative that you know that these criminals are people. They are within our realm to affect. They need to be held accountable for their actions and their crimes against humanity. It was 1980 and my daughter Kelly was born. She was born directly into the MKUltra mind control project on a much higher level, a more sophisticated technological level than I was subjected to. In addition to trauma, she was subjected to harmonic mind control programming on NASA installations literally since birth, before her brain even had a chance to form. As soon as Kelly was born, Senator Byrd figured I'd been traumatized enough by that time and ordered that we be transferred back to Nashville, Tennessee to carry out operations during the Reagan administration. But being within the country music industry, we had a second handler. His name was Alex Houston. Alex Houston is a ventriloquist, stage hypnotist in the country music industry. Above all, he carries out criminal covert CIA operations that fund the black budget. And this certainly included bringing in large quantities of cocaine and distributing them through the United States, Canada. He was working at that time and provided a cover for me to be taken throughout the United States, Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean for these criminal covert operations. As my handler, he took me to various military and NASA installations for mind control programming for specific operations that I was forced to participate in. These operations that I won't have time to get into tonight are detailed in our book, Transformation of America. And they involve such leaders as the president of Mexico at that time, De La Madrid, and Vice President Salinas. It was my experience that in 1984, there's a CIA trauma base, near-death trauma center that's located in Lampe, Missouri. It's called the Swiss Villa Amphitheater. And they bring certain involved country music acts in to bring large quantities of cocaine or bring the cocaine out for distribution, because Lampe, Missouri is just across the Arkansas line and is very much a part of Bill Clinton's cocaine operation. And it was in full swing at that time. It's also interesting to note that this Lampe, Missouri operation is where the country music industry was more conveniently relocated, right there in Branson, so that it would be closer to Clinton's cocaine operations. Lampe, Missouri was the place where I heard George Bush and Bill Clinton talking, where from the point of view I had, they certainly were friends, and they didn't recognize any party lines between them. That's something for the, a smoke and mirrors illusions for the public. It's not something they adhere to, because they had exactly the same agenda, and that was for bringing in this new world order. I heard George Bush talking at that time. He was talking to Bill Clinton, and I've since photographically recorded it and wrote it verbatim in our book, that when the American people became disillusioned with Republicans leading them into the New World Order, that Bill Clinton, as a Democrat, was going to be put into the office of president. This was decided in 1984. Actually, I'd heard about it even prior to that. But that, as of 1984, they were already discussing it as an absolute fact. It was also discussed in the groundwork for NAFTA.
So when you think that your voting counts, it doesn't. It doesn't. It was already planned for the Democrats to get in office when people become delusional or disenchanted with the Republican Party and vice versa. One bird, right wing, left wing, same bird.
Graphically recorded it and wrote it verbatim. And they didn't recognize any party lines between them. That's something for the, a smoke and mirrors illusion for quantities of cocaine or bring the cocaine out for distribution, because Lampe, Missouri is just across the Arkansas line and is very much a part of Bill Clinton's cocaine operation. And it was in full swing at that time. It's also interesting to note that this Lampe, Missouri operation is where the country music industry was more conveniently relocated, right there in Branson, so that it would be closer to Clinton's cocaine operations. Lampe, Missouri was the place where I heard George Bush and Bill Clinton talking, where from the point of view I had, they certainly were friends, and they didn't recognize any party lines between them. That's something for the, a smoke and mirrors illusion for the public. It's not something they adhere to, because they had exactly the same agenda, and that was for bringing in this new world order. I heard George Bush talking at that time. He was talking to Bill Clinton, and I've since photographically recorded it and wrote it verbatim in our book, that when the American people became disillusioned with Republicans leading them into the New World Order, that Bill Clinton, as a Democrat, was going to be put into the office of president. This was decided in 1984. Actually, I'd heard about it even prior to that, but that, as of 1984, they were already discussing it as an absolute fact. It was also discussed in the groundwork for NAFTA that by the time George Bush went into the office of president, that Salinas was going to become president of Mexico, and they together would be bringing in the NAFTA, which was the beginning of New World Order controls. I was forced to participate in the criminal groundwork for NAFTA, the opening of the Juarez-Mexican border to free trade of drugs, free trade of our nation's children. It's absolutely appalling, the criminal roots.
You guys, free nation? No. It's free trade of drugs, free trade of our children. Hopefully you guys got something out of today's lesson. And as always, keep your eyes open, stay in the word, let the word stay in you, and I promise you, you will be blessed. Your boy MTAC, as always, has got to be his out.
Wide awake while the world is sound asleep. Too afraid of what might show up while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody would believe it. But every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories that somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody would believe it. God only knows what you've been through.